With the first August FEH Channel coming up in the near future, we're bound to get a sneak peek at the next seasonal banner, and I wanted to do my best to make predictions about who's going to be on it. Last year, we had our first Thief banner, and it took the place of the Pirates banner. Pirates stuck around for 2 years, so I'm going to be making the assumption that the Thieves banner is going to be around for at least one more, and I'm going to be designing my banner idea around this. Now, there were a few interesting things of note from last year's Thieves banner that I'm going to be using to design my banner. Firstly, every single character on it, with a special asterisk by Kagero, was a thief in their original game. Kagero has the excuse of being a ninja, which from a gameplay perspective is essentially just a thief from Hoshido. With that in mind, I'm going to make sure that every single one of my choices is a thief in their base game, although I will make an exception if they are a promoted form of a thief. And because Three Houses decided it had to be special and no one really has any set classes in that game, I'm going to be counting Ash and Yuri as the potential thieves representatives from that game. Another interesting thing from the original banner is that every single unit on it, with an exception of the backup from the duo, is from a different game, so I'm going to be using that as a part of my criteria for this banner as well. With those two rules in place, I've got a pretty limited pool of units that I can choose from, so it should be pretty easy to design this banner overall. With that in mind, let's start with the unit that I want the most on this. That would be Matthew from Fire Emblem 7. Last year, it was great that Layla got her first seasonal ult, but it was a bit sad that Matthew got left in the dust. This would be rectified if we got Thief Matthew to pair up with Thief Layla. I would go so far as to make the story of the paralogue revolve around these two meeting up. It wouldn't be the first time one of the paralogues revolved around two of the characters meeting up. The first example of this that comes to mind was the most recent Spring banner, with Minerva, Maria, and Michaelis basically all having one nice day out, and none of the three appeared on the same banner, so it wouldn't be too out of left field to make a story revolve around these two. With that in mind, I do gotta be a little realistic here. I'd expect Matthew to be the 4-star unit on the banner. Technically, he could be the unit that we receive from Tempest Trials. There isn't really a difference, though, between being the 4-star focus and being the Tempest Trials. It's just a matter of do you want to spend orbs or grails, so it could be interchangeable. Next, I want to talk about the character that most people would expect if we got a Thief banner, that being Yunaka from Engage. Now, the overall style and themes of the Thief banner and the designs of all the characters fits Yunaka perfectly. Not to mention, we just got a Brodia banner, without the arguably most popular Brodian character. Maybe the reason we didn't get her there is because they were saving her for this banner. If we stopped receiving Thief banners before Yunaka gets on one of them, that would be one of the biggest missed opportunities in this game. And because the past two seasonal banners both had duo units, I'm going to assume that this banner here is going to have the harmonized unit, and I'm going to go ahead and make Yunaka that representative. There's a few reasons why I want to pick Yunaka as the representative. FEH has already shown that they're willing to make us use Engage units for limited hero battles, so I think it's fair that they're going to start giving us Engage units for harmonized units. Engage obviously doesn't have any harmonized units yet, so it's time to start giving them to us. Also, making a very popular character a harmonized unit, units that people will summon for game modes such as Resonant Battles, I think that's what it's called. I kind of forgot. Either way, it'd be a good banner seller as a way to try to bait players out of their orbs right before CYL. Now this leaves the obvious question of who she's going to be harmonized with, and I'm going to go with the obvious choice, Micaiah. While not being a thief class in game, I feel like lore-wise she's close enough to a thief, at least in the early parts of Radiant Dawn. Not to mention in Engage, Yunaka's the person who finds Micaiah's ring, and in her join chapter, she's wielding it by default. So with that, I got the 4-star focus out of the way, and I got the harmonized unit. Now I just need 2 5-star units to round out the banner itself, and I need someone to represent the GHB. So I'm going to propose you a question. Do you remember the last time Thracia had seasonal content? And no, Sarah being the backpack and a harmonized unit does not count. I'll give you a few seconds to guess. The answer was the Scion banner, which would be 2 years prior to this banner releasing, almost on the dot. Me being the Thracia fan that I am, finds this insulting, and I'm going to be throwing a Thracia unit on this. Now, there are 3 candidates from Thracia, although you could argue that Lithis doesn't count because he was thrown on the pirate banner, so that leaves us 2 options. And the most unique thing that they could do on this banner is to give us Lara. Now, if you've never played Thracia, Lara is very special among thieves from the entire series, because unlike most thieves that'll promote into rogues, assassins, or adventurers, she actually promotes into a dancer. Now, every single unit on last year's Thief banner had something special to do with Kanto, and I want to do this with Lara. So what I'm going at here from a design perspective, she would act as a dancer, but in her weapon, she would have Kanto return, meaning that she can walk over to a unit, dance them, and then go back to her original spot. Now, I don't play Ether Raids competitively, so take anything I'm about to say about this with for a grain of salt, but a dancer with Kanto return sounds like she would be extremely good on hit and run teams. Now, reminder, I don't know anything about ether rates, but hit and run teams seem to me, a noob, like it might be hard to run dancers as you need to get them out of there somehow. A dancer with Canto Return would be extremely good for this, because you can give her Wings of Mercy, she can warp in on your initiator, and then warp back to her spot, and then your initiator can run out of there on their own. At the very least, it'd make her a very unique unit, and there's clearly potential for a unit like that, so I'm going to throw her in as one of the 5 stars. Something I've noticed so far when I'm designing this banner is that half the games that I picked were already represented on the previous Thieves banner, so I'm going to pick something that hasn't been on either of these banners so far. The game that I decided to go with is Awakening, mainly because Awakening kind of gets either spammed or droughted when it comes in terms of seasonal units, and we just had a little bit of Awakening love on the previous banner, so I'm just going to keep that train going with one Awakening character on this banner. Although that kinda does limit my choice to just Gaius, but that's actually a pretty good pick. Now, if you started playing Fire Emblem with the release of Heroes or sometimes after, it might be surprising to hear that Gaius was actually a very popular character before Heroes' release. After the release of Awakening, there was a poll on Awakening's website that was used to measure the popularity of its various characters, and Gaius got 4th place overall in the men's division. He was the 2nd highest ranked character in the first generation, behind Chrom. This overall makes it a bit surprising that Gaius hasn't gotten much love in FEH. He got a seasonal alt very soon after the game's release, but nothing since then besides a Resplendent. So giving him a GHB slot here is pretty good. And the reason I picked GHB is because no way in hell they're going to make a guy like Gaius be a 5-star locked unit, so Lamau, he's GHB locked. Now, the final slot on the banner is hard for me to fill out, as I'm trying to use games that haven't been used yet, but there's not too many great choices for me. Arcanea only has one option left, being Julian, but I have a hard time seeing him be a 5-star locked unit, even though he is somewhat popular, at least with the older parts of the community. I'd love to put a Valentian unit on this banner, but would you look at that, it's pretty much the only game in the series that doesn't have any thieves. Valentia really struggles to get seasonals, huh? Patty from Genealogy is a decent option, but I find it kind of hard that they picked 2 girls from Yggdrasil on this to put on the same banner, especially 2 girls that have neither been in the game yet. I can't see any of the thieves from Binding Blade or Sacred Stones filling in this last slot, as none of them are too particularly popular, I'd say, at least in my opinion. This could be an excuse to give either Kaze or Saizo their first alt. It's kind of surprising that neither of them have one, but again, I'm not really feeling another Fates representative on this Thief banner. After a good amount of thinking, I've decided that I'm going to go with Yuri from 3 Houses. Now, it's kind of weird going with Yuri because he did get a legendary somewhat recently, but it wouldn't be the first time there's a short time frame between 2 alts of the same character. For example, Ninian last year had a Fallen version in May, and then she got her legendary version in I think October, that being a 5-month difference, and we'd have about the same difference between legendary Yuri and Thief Yuri. He's also a popular character from a popular game, and definitely worthy of a 5-star slot. The only thing that's got me kind of iffy is, since alts of characters that have legendaries tend to start having their legendary skill on them, for Yuri being Fetters Adromi, I feel like though if they did make Thief Yuri, they wouldn't give him Fetters Adromi in his C slot. The reason for this being is that every single Thief had their Canto effect in their A slot, while legendary Yuri's Canto effect is in his C slot, and I think they want to give him a unique Canto since every single, Thief so far has had one. But with that, I got my full banner designed. I got Matthew taking up the 4-star focus slot, I got Lara and Yuri taking up the 5-star slots, Yunaka and Makaya are filling up the harmonized units, and then I got Gaius taking up the Tempest Trial. So what do you think about my prediction? Do you think this is pretty accurate to what we might get in a Thief's banner, or do you think we won't get a Thief's banner at all? Let me know down below. Also, this is the first time doing a pseudo-scripted content, and by that I mean I have a little note card here with the characters I want on it written down. But hey, that's basically a script, right? Let me know what you think of the video down below, and I'm bad at outros, so later.